Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We go back this hour to September 8th, 1955, and an episode of X-1, an allegory of the westward expansion of the U.S. on Mars, called the Martian Death March.
Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
The Martian Death March.
I've always been interested in lost causes. The revolt of the Scottish Jacobites against England, the last stand of the Cherokee and Sioux Indians, and the death march of the Martian Highlanders in 1997. There's been a lot written about that march. The UN Commission report covers 4 volumes, but the whole story isn't down on paper yet. I know it because I was on that march from the beginning to the end. There's one part of the story that no one ever mentions. The Martian Death March of 97 was led by an Earthman. Maybe you've been over the route of the march. There wasn't any highway there 30 years ago in 97. There was desert, hot, burning desert. I lived at the edge of the Calmac Canal then with my father. He was a prospector searching the surrounding desert with sonar probe and Geiger counter, scratching just enough ore from under the Martian sands to pay for our grub steak the next year. I remember he was in the Adamson digger in the North Quadrant when I came running out that day.
There's somebody coming, Dad, across the desert.
You sure?
I saw them. They're a couple of miles out.
Well, how many cars?
They're on foot.
On foot across the desert?
Honest, Dad. I saw them.
Are you sure it wasn't a light reflection off the canal?
No. It was dark against the sand.
I don't like that. You run back and get the rifles out. I've got to pull the digger into the shed.
Is there going to be fighting, Dad?
I don't know. I got a whole year's ore piled out back in the bins, and I ain't going to lose it to no claim jumpers. You go back to the shack and break out those rifles and see they're loaded, you hear? And jump!
Dad had 3 surplus Army rifles and a couple of homemade grenades made out of ore cans stuffed with Adamson A explosives. We crouched inside the shack, waiting. The shadow of the water tower in the doorway grew longer as the quick Martian dusk settled down over the desert.
And there they come, Al. There's 2 of them.
What's that on the first one's back?
Why, I haven't seen one of those in 20 years.
What is it?
A one-man desert tank. They used to carry water that way before Adamson put out the air-still units.
There's something funny about that second one. Look, he's all spindly, and his head's funny.
He's funny, all right. Al, that's a Martian.
I never saw one off the reservation before.
Well, there hasn't been one, not in 10 years. I don't like this.
Here they come into the dooryard.
You remember what I told you? Line up the sights and just squeeze the trigger.
Hello! Hello there!
Now, Dad?
Hello!
Wait a minute. What do you want?
Water! I need water!
Who are you?
My name is John.
John, huh? What are you doing with that spider?
His name is Cantalcar.
I don't care what his name is. What's a human doing with a Martian?
I found him in the dry bed of Calmac Canal, nearly dead of thirst.
He probably ran off from the reservation.
When our brothers are caged, they seek freedom.
Brothers? Those spiders?
All living creatures are our brothers. On Mars, as on Earth.
Hey, wait a minute. Bert Olstrom at False Wells told me there was a screwball heads preacher over there hollering about letting the spiders loose off the reservations.
Let no man call his own. No man, nor tribe, nor nation.
I guess that's you, all right. Bert told me they called you Crazy John. I don't suppose there's any harm in you. Fill your tank up at the air still. And you can even have supper with us.
We would be happy to.
We? What do you mean, we?
Cantalcar and myself.
That spider? Oh, no, I ain't having a Martian sit down to eat with me. You come on, though.
Thank you, sir. No. Where my brother is not welcome, I cannot go.
Well, suit yourself. Al, get the key to the water tower. Come out here.
All right, Dad.
And put away the guns. We won't have any trouble from these two.
The old man filled his tank at the air-still tower, and the Martian went through the ash pile for half-burned fuel brick. When we went to the house for supper, I could see them silhouetted against the fire. The old man with his wild hair and beard, and the thin, spidery arms and legs of the Martian.
Dad?
What?
Are all the Martians on the reservation?
Yeah. All but a couple of wild ones in the mountains up north. The patrol catches a couple every year.
Why?
Oh, they murder people.
No, I mean, why are they on the reservation?
Because it's the safest place to keep them, pest us all.
How many are there?
Oh, I don't know. A few thousand. They keep dying off.
Why?
They catch earth diseases. Chickenpox almost wiped out the whole gang of them 2 years ago.
Chickenpox? I had that. It didn't wipe me out.
Well, you ain't a Martian.
I was born on Mars.
Well, I mean you ain't one of those spiders. Now eat your food, it'll get cold.
Okay. Dad?
Oh, what now?
Were the Martians always on the reservation?
Well, since the Outpost 3 massacre, they have been.
What was that?
Oh, back before you were born, they lived wild in the mountains up north.
Were they fierce?
Fierce enough. Only place for them spiders, behind wire.
Yeah, it sure is.
Out in the dooryard, the campfire flickered at the base of the water tower. The first of the Martian moons had set. The other wouldn't rise for several hours. I could hear the sandpeepers out in the desert as I stood there. The old man and the Martian were sitting on the ground, huddled close to the fire. It gets cold fast on the desert when the sun goes down.
Is that you, boy? You can come up to the fire if you like.
My dad wouldn't like it.
All right.
But I'm not afraid of no spider.
No, there is nothing to be afraid of.
How come his arms are all skinny?
Ask him.
Does he talk?
Yes, his name is Cantalcar.
It is, huh? Hello.
Hello, boy.
He talks funny.
It is not my language.
Why isn't he on the reservation? You can get in trouble helping spiders to escape.
No man has the right to imprison the innocent. They that are enslaved will be freed. They that are in sickness and misery will be comforted. They that are exiled in a strange place will be restored.
My dad says the spiders are treacherous, cowardly, murdering savages. That's what he says.
Boy, there was a time on this world when there were no earthmen, when the ships and the machinery of earth were unknown. Then the people of the highlands lived in peace. But today they are a handful, starving, dying behind the wire.
But the reservation isn't so bad.
Our home is in the mountains of the north, not the desert.
I heard a voice which cried out to me in the desert. Go to your brothers.
Do they really call you Crazy John?
I have been called many things.
You really think we ought to let those old spiders off the reservation?
Why, we die here in the desert. We die in the sun and of the sicknesses you have brought from Earth.
That's 'cause Martians are just weak. I'll bet I could knock you down myself.
You could. We are a different people. We have not the strength of muscle of Earthmen. But we will not stay here to die.
You won't get off the reservation. The patrol takes care of all that. They won't let any stinking old spiders out.
Even in the minds of children is planted the poison of evil. How long?
September 8th, 1955, X-1 on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. No doubt. This is why so many people are joining Medi-Share right now. Medi-Share is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. Medi-Share can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. And Medi-Share is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that's worked beautifully for 29 years. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of X-1, the Martian Death March, September 8th, 1955.
That night through the window, I could see the flicker of the old man's campfire. He was walking up and down now, shouting, singing hymns, verse after verse, his white beard catching the light as he passed behind the fire. The Martian sat slumped over, his thin, spindly arms folded across the huge barrel chest that had developed over the centuries as the air of Mars thinned and escaped into space. In the morning, I looked out, and they were gone. Looking back now, we wonder how they did it. The high-voltage wire around the reservation carried a fatal charge. The patrolmen in the tower had 50-caliber machine guns. The desert around the camp was mined heavily. Yet, at dawn, August 7th, 1997, they broke out. I was down at the dried-up canal bed hunting sandpeepers when my father came running after me.
Al! Al!
Here I am.
Come on, back to the house.
What's the matter, Dad?
You shut up and run.
What is it?
The spiders busted loose. Bert Olstrom radioed in.
They come in here?
They're headed this way, the murdering devils.
They kill anybody?
6 patrolmen when they busted through the wire.
What are you gonna do, Dad?
Wire a keg of Adamson A across the gate. You get in there and get the guns out.
I got the rifles and shoved a full clip in each one. Then I slipped a primer fuse on the homemade grenades and lugged them out to the porch. Dad was running lead wires back to a detonator from a half keg of Adamson A he'd set across the gate.
There. And that's set. Now give me one of those rifles.
Will they be here soon?
You can see the dust over the rise. Murdering spiders.
What'll they do?
I don't know. Now make sure you get a good sight, Al. Don't waste any bullets.
There they are, Dad. There they come.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold up now. I want to get a good shot. Let him get closer.
Dad, that's Crazy John up in front. There. He's taller than the spiders. You can see his beard.
You're right. Oh, that renegade rat. He probably helped him break out of the reservation. Listen, Al. If anything happens to me, you ride out back to the shed. You can hide out in the empty ore bins till they go away. Now, you got that?
All right, Dad.
We're going to come in.
The spider's shouting something, Dad.
Probably a trick. Get down a little, Al. You're in the way.
We're coming in.
I got him clear now. Right in the head. Up a little now. Got him. Got him, Al.
Dad, look out. They've got guns.
Down. Get down. Oh. Get out, Al. Get out to the shed.
Dad, you're hit.
Go on. Those spiders are going to rush. Now get going.
No, I can't let you.
Shut up and get out of here. You hear? Get out of here.
I ran back through the house to the shed. Behind me, I could hear the Martians sweeping up to the dooryard. Then suddenly the ground shook, and I could feel the dull concussion waves hit my ears as the Adamson A exploded. I could hear the high, whispered screams of the Martians and the rattle of fragments on the metal roof of the shed. I dived into the empty ore bin and slammed the hatch almost shut. I sat there waiting. And then suddenly a shadow fell across the edge of light, and the hatch slid open on top of me.
You leave me alone. I'll kill you.
Boy, I've been looking for you.
Where's my dad? What did you do to my dad?
He's dead.
You killed him. You and those spiders. I'll kill you. I'll kill all those stinking murdering spiders.
They are our brothers, boy. Your father shot without warning, and the fire was returned against my orders.
You mean you weren't going to attack us?
Our brothers came in peace. They are going home to their mountains. We came to get water for the journey.
You mean you just wanted water? You... Dad!
John, the Earth Patrol will be following us soon.
We must go.
And the boy?
We'll have to leave him here with water and supplies.
No, the Earth Patrol would question him. We need the time. He goes with us.
They tore the Adamson air still from the tower and mounted it on poles. They piled our supplies in the yard and loaded them on their backs. And then they started. I marched with the old man at the head, and the column stretched out behind us on the desert. I turned to look back at our house, but the sun was behind it, blinding red. The old man pulled me around as he marched, his eyes fixed on the horizon, where far to the north rose the cool mountains that were the ancient home of the Highlanders. 14 of the Martians died the first day. They dropped to the side of the column when they could go no farther, and died. But the march went on. On the 5th day, we swung wide to avoid a mining settlement, but not wide enough. The miners were in ambush behind a pile of rocks.
I shall lead them home. Home to the promised rest. Home to the mountains. March forward! March forward!
And the march went on. We wound across the desert in wild zigzags, following the paths the old man had traveled through the years. Only once a patrol plane hovered on the horizon and then shot away. The days went on, the weeks, and the Martians died. They died of exhaustion. They died of the diseases we had given. And they died of thirst. The Adamson still could produce 27 units of water an hour, no more. And on that, they died of thirst.
Here, boy, here's your water.
But that's more than the others got.
Take it.
It's yours. You're giving me your water.
It will be provided to me. He that brings justice to his brothers will drink deep of the water of righteousness. He that... Drink your water, boy.
Across the desert, from the Kalmak Canal to Fever Dip, past the towering mesas of the Higgins Badlands, across the dry sea bottoms they marched. On the 54th day of the march, we halted at evening. The air was thinner, colder now. The rations had long since been exhausted. I lay down to sleep wrapped in the old man's coat. Early in the morning, before sunrise, I woke suddenly. The ground mist that had covered the desert the night before was lifting slowly. And I saw the old man standing by the burned-out fire, the vapor swirling around his legs in the cold light of the false dawn, edging his wild beard.
Go back to sleep, boy.
I can't.
The end is near. I have led them through the wilderness, dry shod across the seas, and before us lie the mountains.
You mean we're almost there?
When the mist is taken from the eyes of man, the place of refuge can be seen.
You mean the mountains? It's over. We're there.
I have led them to their home, and I must go back to the desert.
You mean alone?
Now, even now, I hear a voice in the wind. Carry the message to the men of Earth. Bring to this new world the message of the old. All beings created in the universe are my brothers, and he that harms my brother harms me. Goodbye. Goodbye, boy. You'll be safe now.
Goodbye, John. Goodbye.
The Martians found him 500 yards from the camp, dead.
September 8th, 1955, X-1, the Martian Death March. The conclusion next on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, but first these words.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-772-6113. 800-772-6113. 800-772-6113. That's 800-772-6113.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the sad conclusion of X-1 and the Martian Death March, broadcast September 8th, 1955.
Now the mist rose, and before us towered the highlands, the tall green mountains and the cool sky. The march was over. Of the 7,000 Martians who started, 900 were alive. They gathered now on the rise of ground and faced the hills. Their thin bodies wavered as they stood, and some dropped to the ground as they stood there. But there was a light of hope in their large, staring eyes. Most of them had died, but they had died on the way home, and now the march was over. Then the patrol planes were spotted on the horizon, and within 10 minutes they had landed. The Martians stood silently as the squads piled out and set up the 50 caliber machine guns and the petroleum gel flamethrower.
All right, you spiders. Hands up and stay together. Gather in a bunch and don't try anything. Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Shoot the first spider that moves. And shoot to kill. All right, where's that boy? There was a boy reported.
Here I am.
You all right, kid? They hurt you?
No, I'm all right. John gave me his water ration.
Oh, the leader, huh? Well, I've got a warrant for him. Where is he?
There. He's dead.
Huh? Oh. Well, just as well. I'd hate to be him in front of a settler's jury.
What are you going to do to them?
The spiders? See those transport planes coming in? We're going to ship them all back to the reservation where they belong.
You can't. You can't do that.
What are you talking about, kid?
You can't take them back. They're home. John said they were home. You can't take them back. It isn't fair. I won't let you. I won't let you. I won't let you.
Hey, let go of me. Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Peel this crazy kid off me.
All right, now, kid, take it easy. I must be shot. Can't believe he's safe now.
Yeah, I guess that's it. All right, you spiders, step it up. Move along to those transport planes. It's all over now. You're headed right back to the reservation.
They separated them in groups of 50 and loaded them on the planes. 900 out of 7,000. And soon the first big-bellied ships waddled out on the hard sands and lifted slowly into the air, headed back to the south, flying over the trail of dead and dying who started on the march to the highlands, the march to home.
Don't worry about them spiders, kid. We'll take care of them. Come on now, kid. You'll feel better as soon as you get back to civilization.
I looked once more at the green mountains towering through the mist. And then, just before the motor raced, I saw John. Crazy John propped up against a dognut bush where the Martians had placed him. The wind from the south gave the wild hair and beard a rippling life. He faced the hills, the home and rest he had promised his brothers, as he led them through the wilderness of Mars.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production.
Quite the allegory demands inhumanity demand, wouldn't you say? X-1, September 8th, 1955, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Attention Walmart shoppers. Now you can order one of the most advanced hearing aids on the market for hundreds, not thousands of dollars. Hearing Assist's most advanced product lineup includes models that use an exclusive app for enhanced control over what you want to hear. It's perfect if you have a smartphone or iPhone to hear everything better. And we have two great ways for you to get one. You can call the number at the end of this ad and order directly. Or you can call this same number and we will text you a complete list of Walmart Vision Center locations. We make it easy for you to hear better. Remember, call this number today to order and have a text message instantly sent to your phone to find the Walmart Vision Center near you. Here's that special number.
Call 800-360-0597. 800-360-0597. 800-360-0597. That's 800-360-0597.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, another episode of the soap opera Claudia. This episode originally broadcast September 8th, 1948.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia, based on the famous play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you transcribed Monday through Friday by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
La 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 la. Who is it?
It is I, your stage door Johnny.
Johnny who?
Johnny on the spot.
Oh, that Johnny. Come on in.
Hey, aren't you out of your makeup yet?
Practically. I'm just about to ook my face up with cold cream.
That sounds attractive.
Then, in a few deft strokes, I shall be returned to my simple, unglamorous self.
Woe is me, woe is me.
Or should I keep on my makeup and go forth in the world with my glamorous face on?
I'll take the face under the glamorous face, thank you.
You mean you love Cinderella after all?
I've gotten accustomed to Cinderella. Take off your makeup.
You know, I almost hate to. Look at those beautiful long eyelashes. This rosebud of a mouth. Ah, yes, the theater is indeed magic. 8 o'clock, I am transformed into a beautiful princess.
And at midnight, back into your pumpkin.
Must you call me names? Was it a good house tonight?
Filled the last row.
How'd it play? Good?
Went pretty well. Another couple of months, and you'll give quite a decent performance.
Another couple of days, and I won't have to give a performance at all.
Or how are you going to face coming back to our normal world, to the dull, relentless routine of everyday living?
I will face it with a smile on my face, smiling through tears without a backward glance. Oh, David, it has been wonderful, but I've missed you so.
Well, here I am.
Have you liked your freedom?
I've thriven under it. Notice the wrinkles have gone away from my eyes.
Those are smiling wrinkles. I like them.
Now stop talking. Take off that makeup.
What'll you give me if I do?
You'll see.
Was there anybody out front we knew tonight?
I didn't see a soul. You've run out of admirers, my love.
Oh, isn't it sad? Oh, how fickle is the world.
How fickle indeed. Take off that makeup.
I'm taking it off. Don't nag me. It's a free country. Who is it?
Jared Tucker here.
Oh, just a second, Mr. Tucker. You didn't tell me he was here.
I didn't know he was here. He must have come out of the woodwork.
Is that a nice thing to say about my most handsome, my most devoted admirer? After you, of course.
You could do worse than Jared Tucker.
Shut up. Hand me my dress.
Why don't you get yourself a handmaid?
My next engagement. Mr. Tucker, come in.
I just come to pay my respects.
I had no idea you were in the theater tonight.
Yep, I was. Sitting in the second row in the balcony. Heard every word you said, too.
Good.
Yep.
Well, if you didn't, it'd be just too bad.
If we'd known you were coming, Mr. Tucker, you and David could have come together.
I travel alone, on the inspiration of the moment. Mrs. Norton gave a right good performance.
Coming from you, Mr. Tucker, I believe it.
Yep, you looked as if you knew what you was doing. Your words come fast and neat. Yeah, you sure do think 'em up fast.
No, she should know them by now. She's been saying them over and over for days.
Huh? You gotta really say them same things every night?
Exactly the same thing. Isn't it silly?
Must be a mighty bore. Too bad you can't sort of make 'em up as you go along.
Well, don't think I don't worry that she will.
Of course, you professional actors ain't no better than amateurs, except you get paid for what you do.
And some are greatly overpaid.
You talking about Victoria manners?
Yep. Seems like an awful easy way to make a living. Coming up here every night, repeating the same old words, same old words. Why, half the time you're even sitting down on the stage. It's a mighty easy way to make a living.
Oh, that's what I used to think, too.
Maybe I should have taken another fork in the road when I was a lad. Maybe I should have hoed the easy road and chose the theater for myself.
Well, that reading you gave us the other day of The Ancient Mariner, I would say that you would have had a big success. John Barrymore would have had to fight for his laurels.
Ain't got such a bad profile either now, have I?
I'd say it was just as fine as John Barrymore.
He's been dead for years, too. If I was an actor, I might even be a millionaire. Such is life.
Come in.
Well, you still here? We're closing up the theater.
Mr. Varney, I'd like you to meet a neighbor of ours, Mr. Jared Tucker.
Pleased to meet you, son.
My pleasure.
Mr. Varney's the director of this theater. He staged this play tonight.
You did, hey? You're a pretty young rooster to be directing.
Oh, I've been crowing many years already.
Yeah, you did a pretty good job, too. Of course, I don't hold completely with the way you had things turn out. For my money, I'd like to see Miss Norton here win the man. Even though he wasn't much of a man, wasn't much of an actor either.
Yes, I agree with you on that, Mr. Tucker.
Yeah, I could fiddle around him myself. Maybe I ain't as spry as I used to be 5 years ago, but theatrical talent never leaves you till you turn to dust.
Mr. Varney, Mr. Tucker is a very talented actor.
Oh?
Why, the other day he gave us a reading of the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
By Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
It was really stupendous, wasn't it, David?
It was, indeed, stupendous.
You ought to hear me when I get into The Boy Stood on the Burning Deck. Someday I'll come over and recite a bit for you.
Oh, listen, do it now, Mr. Tucker. He's really good, Mr. Varney.
Of course, I don't like the parts of old men.
Oh, no, of course not.
Mrs. Norton here, she looks like quite something else on stage. No reason why I can't either.
No reason at all. Really, Mr. Varney, you should hear Mr. Tucker recite.
Well, I could give you a smidgen now, I could.
Now?
Why not?
No time like the present.
Well, the present is getting late.
Oh, listen, the theater's empty. Let's...
Well, I'm ready now.
Well, all right, then. We'll hear you now, Mr. Tucker. I will show you to the stage center.
Now, that's darn nice of you, boy. Come on along, Mr. and Mrs. Norton. No reason why you shouldn't eavesdrop. I ain't shy at all.
Well, I just hope Varney doesn't make too much fun over him.
David, you don't think he will, do you? I mean, he realizes this isn't serious.
I don't know how much of a sense of humor Varney has. I just hope he doesn't make Tucker feel like a fool. Varney's a pretty tough character, you know.
Gosh, I hadn't thought. David, maybe we should find a way to stop this.
You stand right there, Mr. Tucker, right square in the spotlight.
Right here.
All right, come on, Claudia and David. We'll sit down in the middle of the orchestra.
Are you sure it isn't too late, Mr. Varney? It is pretty late, you know.
Why, Claudia, weren't you the one who said it's never too late to discover a brilliant new actor?
Well,
Now, come on, sit down right here. We have the whole theater to ourselves.
Hey, look, Varney, this man takes himself pretty seriously. I wouldn't want him to be offended or anything.
Oh, relax. I've seen a lot of these old codgers in my day, and no vaudeville skit is ever as funny.
oh, David, what have I done?
Say, now that I'm up here, what do I say?
Say anything you like.
Well, kind of forgetting the boy stood on the burning deck. The Nortons here already heard the Ancient Mariner.
Oh, we don't mind hearing it again.
No, I never repeat myself when I can start afresh.
Well, don't you remember something from school?
That was only about 80 years ago.
Let me see, third grade, fourth grade.
Well, an old song or something would do fine.
Hold on. I'm recollecting. When I recollect, I can go pretty far back. Sure is dark here, all dark except for that one light. Can't see nothing but with my mind's eye. But it can see pretty far back. Seems that every now and then, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for people to declare their independence and their freedom. And to this end, they said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to this end they fought a bloody war. 'Twasn't the first, 'twasn't the last, 'cause they always seemed to need a heap of reminding. So, less than 100 years later, another American, this time a tall, 6'4", hungry-looking man, gathered some forgetting folks around him and read them a lesson. I remember it word for word because it ain't something anybody ought to forget. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. Little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great tasks remaining before us, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Then, less than 100 years later, the world started forgetting again. Seems as if we ain't got much of a memory for the important things in life. Took another war and another man to make us remember that what we live for is peace, and what we pray for is freedom. Freedom of speech everywhere in the world, God everywhere in the world, freedom from want everywhere in the world, and greatest of all, freedom from fear anywhere in the world. Now, that ain't something to worry about tomorrow, that's to worry about tonight. If I kind of sound as if I've been preaching, it's only that standing here in this dark theater I couldn't see so well, except into my own heart. And, well, my heart's like every other American's, and that's my recitation. Guess I ain't so much of an actor after all, 'cause what I give you is just a piece of old Jared Tucker.
You know, Mr. King, I just very nearly made a fool of myself.
Why? What happened?
Well, I was sitting back there in the theater looking at that little old man Tucker standing in the spotlight on the stage. I was all set to have a big laugh. I wasn't paying any attention to what he was saying, and all of a sudden it hit me.
It was pretty impressive, wasn't it?
The stage of my theater hasn't been put to such good use in a long time. I only wish we had not been an audience of 3 in a dark theater, but an audience of millions.
Yes, some of the best performances are played to the smallest audiences. For instance, tomorrow David and Mrs. Brown give a 4-star performance to an audience of 1.
Claudia, the audience?
And the cause of the performance, little Bobby Norton.
I hope that Claudia doesn't forget that she has a matinee tomorrow.
She won't forget. Tomorrow's the day for a lot of pretending by all of it. It seems particularly hard to get things done during lazy Indian summer days. But I'm going to suggest an idea that's good any time of the year. It's this. Follow the example of your men folks in offices and factories. Pause during work hours for ice-cold Coca-Cola. You'll enjoy the delicious refreshment. You'll relax. And you'll get back to work refreshed. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes. And ice-cold Coca-Cola is everywhere. The part of Jared Tucker was played by Cameron Andrews. And this broadcast of Claudia was supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney.
Something we all need to hear from time to time, isn't it? Claudia, as it was originally broadcast, September 8th, 1948. Thank you so much for joining us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Without getting political, I think this is something that we all need to hear after having heard just what we heard. History is not there for you to like or dislike. It's there for you to learn from. And if it offends you, even better. Because then you are less likely to repeat it. It's not yours to erase or destroy. The point of this radio program is not just to entertain, but to bring you history, unfiltered, unvarnished, the way it actually occurred. Thank this radio station, support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. If you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. They're all available at the webpage, classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can find our social media links, and you can contact me there. Classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. And if you like and you want to support the show, buy me a coffee. That would be great. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.